Hello, welcome to Comfy Cozy Up. So today I'm going to be doing my March wrap up, and March was a struggle, guys, a struggle. I really had a hard time finishing a book. I picked up several books, put it back down, but eventually I did complete 3 books, and of course one of them, which I talked about briefly, is my favorite book this year and easily one of my favorite books of all time, and that is the Book of Night Women by Marlon James. This is a book of a young girl who is in that critical age where she's transitioning into womanhood, and she's born into slavery. She's, don't know who her parents are, but she learned at an early age she has the ability to defend herself at really horrible moments. And there are these night women who feel like she's the key to this revolt that's been going on, that they've been planning for many years, and they're ready to execute it, and she should be a part of it. She's haunted by a lot of darkness, a lot of things that she doesn't quite understand, but when it counts, she somehow has this power about her, this ability to really make those drastic decisions that are sometimes a lifesaver, but it comes with that brutal part and that dark side of her that she struggles with. I love this story because it has so much historical information in there, because I am Jamaican, and when I was reading this, I was hearing the stories that my mother always tell me about the Coromantes, and then I was also hearing the stories of the Maroon side of me, where my father's side of the family are of Maroon's heritage. So I was so wrapped up in this story, and I appreciate how the author took historical things that happen, real historical things, but create characters that are bits and pieces of the past. When I was reading this also, you think of Nanny the Maroon and how important she was as far as one of the successful revolt that happened in Jamaica. So it's hard to really explain how moving this book was to me, and how important it is to show that my ancestors were fighters, and how brutal and heartbreaking things happen when you're trying to gain your freedom. And freedom comes with a cost, and sometimes your soul and the things that you have to do are not always positive, but it's survival. And there's certain characters in this story that they lost a piece of them, and you understood, even though at times I was a little frustrated with one of the characters who is grieving, and that grief, as turned her into this person where she is focused on what was done to her, and that's all she's seeing. And at that character, you felt a certain sympathy for her, because you wonder what would you do in that situation. And this book is a must read. It's a must read. I literally want to read all the reviews I've seen on this book and watch all the videos of people talking about this book, because it means, I'm seeing a few and I realize it means different things to other people and how people enjoy it, but this book is so meaningful and so important to read, because a lot of times you don't get to hear that side of the Caribbean and that part of the struggle that happened. So yes, read it. Then I read a night book. So it's the 3rd book in a series, which is called Lonely Heart, Deadly Heart by Miss Mary Monroe. And this is the 3rd book in the series that I struggled to complete at first because she dragged. But I'm going to do a full review on the entire series, so I'm not going to talk much about this book. But what I would say is she does know how to entertain. She does know how to write a story about friendship, even when the friendship is not necessarily the most healthiest thing ever. But she does know how to create these characters that know how to maneuver and she comes up with these bizarre situations where I'm like, what in the world? And this is how I felt about the series. So the last book I read was The Last Straw by Ed Duncan, and this book is the second in the series of Pitch Blood Red, and I enjoyed this more than the first one. The first one, when I did my review, which I put in the description box, I felt like it was kind of a made for TV kind of book. Like it wasn't I wasn't blown away, but I did enjoy it. But this one was really good. There was so much twist and turn in this story. We do have the same characters from the first book, but they have a different case, and this case involved a child who has witnessed a crime, and she is being sought out by a hitman who wants to basically kill her because, you know, she saw too much. So, but in this story, there's so much suspense. There's so much like twists and turns and things that you didn't expect, and it kept me on my toes. And I read this pretty quickly. It's only about 220 pages, but it's packed. From the very first chapter, it is like boom, like there's something exciting, something very explosive happening. So you're just like oh, and as it just keep going, there was just no boring, dull moment in this book, and I'm here for the second one. So I can't wait for the third one that's supposed to come out soon. So I don't know if it's the end of the year, perhaps maybe the beginning of next year, but can't wait for me the third one in this series. Yeah. And that's all the books I read. So if you read any books that you thought I might be interested in, put it in the description bar. And if you've ever read any of Marlon James' other book, like I've read A Brief History of 7 Killings, and that's another book too that I felt like he is creative ways of where he he uses real characters, real people, and create these characters that are influenced by these people. So if you've read that book, there's certain things in that book where you're like, whoa, I remember that happening in the late 80s, early 90s, when I was a kid. And I was trying to like not really know what was going on, but then when I was reading that book, I remember like, oh shucks, that did happen. But it's same thing with that book. I just love that book, guys. I can't stop talking about the book. I love it. Read it. Anyway, thanks for watching and have a good day. Bye.